National Insurance Clearinghouse, the marketing arm of Brokers Alliance, presents a Bravo video event, the Business Insurance Zone, dedicated to financial professionals who use insurance in their practice.
And on today's show, Section 79 plans with special guest Ken Davis, CPA.
And now the host of the Business Insurance Zone, the whiz of the biz, insurance columnist Steve Savant.
Well, welcome everyone to the Business Insurance Zone. We're broadcasting live to a nationwide audience of financial professionals right here in Fountain Hills, Arizona, home of America's largest fountain. And today, our last day on Section 79 plans with Ken Davis, CLU, ChFC, CFP, and CPA. And I'm not kidding. Ken, welcome back to our show.
Hey, Steve. Good to be back.
Day 5. Good thing we're doing this in segments. This could be mind-numbing. I mean, I'm just saying, it's not as hard as people make this out to be.
No, it's not.
It isn't. And he's not saying that just because he's a CPA. We've really looked at a few avenues here to really help our producers expand their practice. This is an excellent non-ERISA, I just love saying that, non-ERISA employer benefit program that highlights insurance, life insurance specifically. And because of the way we're doing it, we're framing it around indexed universal life.
Right.
Now, Ken, all this week we've been talking about some of the cool ideas that we have with this. And again, remember, if you missed any of the show, go back out to our site at www.brokersalliance.com. As soon as you hit our homepage, hit the on-demand red button right on the front, and it'll take you right to our archives. And please watch Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday show, not because we want the ratings, although I love that.
Yeah.
I really want you to get this because I really believe it can expand your practice and really put you in front of people. And by the way, one of the things about Section 79 that we haven't said it out at all week long is, once we take care of the employer's desire to fund a 79, there's ancillary sales of estate planning and charitable giving. And there's all kinds of things from an employer point of view, because they usually have decent-sized estates. A lot of these people have issues.
Sure.
And so there's a lot of ancillary areas, and you're bringing an item that has a great tax deduction up front.
Right.
And I think that's really kind of the entry-level issue of Section 79. What do I say? It has a deductibility. It has a tax-deferred ability. It can have a tax-free ability to come out. So all those are critical, and it's not forever. It's just for 5 years.
5-year commitment to... you can stop in between, but generally you really should plan on 5 years.
Well, I like planning on 5 years. I always illustrate it as if they're going to overfund it to the gills, because we're trying to give the best cash value. And in 5 years, boy, we're doing a short timeline. So a little heads up, normally Steve likes 10, 15 plus. To play in the 5-year arena, I'm going to have to be using more than likely option A, or level death benefit, just because the numbers work a little bit better. And I'll be wanting to drop that death benefit the moment I can pass the guideline annual and the 7-pay test without causing a force out. So those are issues that we'll do all that for you. Don't worry about it. We'll take care of it on the illustration side. Ken will take care of it on the tax side. And he'll also be your liaison when you need to talk to TPAs that are going to be involved in this, because they're going to be sharing in our overall comp schedule, which is great, because then when the client says, how much does it cost? What are you going to say, Ken?
Basically nothing, or in one case, nominal.
Very nominal.
$500 to set it up, $250 a year in most cases for that one TPA, but the fact is when you're doing $25,000, $50,000, $100,000 contributions, those numbers are nothing, and they stop after 5 years.
Now, and I just mentioned this, and this is right at the top of the list here, the death benefit can be managed down to drop. You know, I noticed here in one of your lines here in your brief, you say the participant to drop other coverage, thereby saving premium costs. If they're going to introduce a whole new contract, they may already have online. Now, if they do that, that's probably going to be replacement, isn't it?
Okay, let's back up to look at the forest from the trees. The fact of the matter is, up until now, almost all week, we've been talking about cash accumulation. And when we talk about that, we tend to forget the life insurance benefit. But the fact of the matter is, a life insurance policy, it does have life insurance benefits. In some cases, when you're doing $100,000, you may or $200,000, you may be very well at a $2 million plus life insurance policy. Okay, so these are substantial. So as we look at the economics and analyze the benefits, if this policy goes into place, it's tax deductible, the client, the owner, or maybe some employees, if they choose to participate, can drop other life insurance, or maybe they get a 10-year term that's at the last 2 years of it or whatever. They don't have to go out and buy a brand new one, so they save that additional premium cost. So all the things that life insurance does add some extra benefits here, but remember, getting a 30-40% deduction up front.
I like the idea that at the end of my 60 months, you say in one of your briefs here, which is excellent, you say you could transfer this, right, to an irrevocable life insurance trust.
Even better than that, do it right up front.
You could do it day one.
Yep.
All right, let's do both. Day one, no hassles, because I did it and declared it. But now I didn't do that, and by the way, a lot of the plans don't show us.
Yeah, if I'm correct, I think you have to put it in place and then transfer it so you get 3-year look-back rule. But
well, let's talk about that just to make sure we're clear. Yes, if you want to send this on, we can put it in an irrevocable life insurance trust, but then you start the 3-year clock.
And you have your gift tax issues.
You have your gift tax issues.
Okay, all the normal ILIT types of stuff to take care of. It's interesting. I hadn't really asked about whether you could start it right into it, but you do have to pay taxes on it because the employer is paying the premium on the life insurance policy. It doesn't matter whether you own it individually or whether it's in an ILIT. You're going to pay taxes of 60 to 70% of the premium, and you may very well have a 3-year look-back rule issue.
Right. In fact, actually, the ones that I've seen online that are existing today that we examined are all individuals, and those that wanted to go into an irrevocable life insurance trust who did that, we always told them that the 3-year clock was starting. So they just to be good boy, and they may want a short-term term insurance to pick up that difference until that occurs.
Sure.
Now, we're also looking, this is a thing that I forget about, because I remember back in the day, in the late 80s, we started using supplemental income using life insurance, and it was the rage. It was like, wow, new concept. But I noticed that as I go back to my baby boomer brethren and say, oh, by the way, we are ready to tweak the death benefit down. We're ready to switch options. We're ready to really manage this down because it was done for income. A lot of them, almost 70% of them, I said, whoa, don't do that. I need the coverage. I got plenty of money in my qualified plans. Don't lower it. I need the death benefit. And then here's another percentage of that percentage. Oh, not only do I don't really need the death benefit, I don't need any of it. Could I give it to a charity?
Well, and that's the thing is that, and we had a whole 5-segment show towards the end of the year on charitable giving. One of the things the report talked about, and if they want to go back and look at it in the archives, they can still send away for that booklet that we found on charitable giving. But the interesting statistic is 20% of high net worth clients of, I think it was 10 million or more, are really interested in doing charitable giving, and their advisors aren't approaching them. Okay, so whenever you're doing this or any kind of planning, always ask the client, are you interested in giving some of your net worth to charities? And the fact is, a lot of them feel like, well, the kids are going to have plenty of money. I don't want to spoil them to death or have them quit work. I want them to be productive citizens, and I want them to be involved in charities. So yeah, we want to do charitable giving. So ask, because somebody else might come in after you and ask and take the business away. So here's a situation where we've been focusing on investment, rates of return, cash values, and of course the CPAs and some of the advisors are going to be focused on the economic aspect of it. But don't forget, this is life insurance, and you can choose whoever the beneficiary you want to be, and you may decide that part or all of it goes to a charity.
This is just another option if you don't need it for income. Because we think, well, Section 79, it's a done deal, it's only for this.
Right.
But now that it's in our control, after that 5 years, it's always been our policy.
Yep.
But now it's in our control, we're using it, we have it in our hands. And now what do? Well, this is one option.
Well, and I think what's important here is while the cash values are competitive economically, as we start to talk to the client about the additional benefits that they get, well, think about buy-sell, all right? Traditionally, buy-sell, you have cross-purchase, and two partners, one buys it on, A buys it on B, B buys it on A, okay? Well, in this case, you can't do that because it's Section 79, they have to own it, all right, at least initially. And there could be transfer of value if you try to switch it later on. But you're 15 years into it, you've accumulated a huge amount of cash value in your own policy. Your A and B dies. You got to come up with some cash to pay the spouse of B, for instance, or the kids, the heirs. Well, you don't have a policy on them, but you get cash value sitting in a policy over here that you've accumulated for yourself. You can now use that, pull that cash out of the policy,
partners
and buy out your deceased partner's issue.
Wow, pretty cool.
So it's a different twist on the buy-sell. It's not a life insurance benefit, it's a cash value benefit that's accumulated to pay for that.
Well, I noticed, because most of the week we spent our time speaking on supplemental income, so another alternative retirement using Section 79. But you could buy it for death benefit for indemnification purposes.
Well, and that's what's interesting is when we squeeze it down, part of the formula of tax deduction is cash value buildup actually will reduce the deductions in the earlier years. Well, when you start thinking about it more as a pure insurance policy and less as a cash accumulation device, it can be done for that. It can be done for other insurance purposes, business or personal, and now you don't get the cash accumulation, you actually get a better tax deduction in that particular situation. The numbers get dialed up. So we've been thinking cash value accumulation, but now we're going back to what is life insurance? Life insurance is a death benefit, and other riders as well, which we'll talk about here in a second.
So if we had clients, employees, or the employers of the company that we're selling to in the C Corp, they could elect, even though we haven't the whole week been talking basically on supplemental retirement income.
Right.
They could say, hey, I really don't need that. I'm pretty much okay on that. I have death benefit needs, whether it's charitable or estate planning or whatever it is.
Right.
I can up my death benefit. There won't be much cash, but the way the law approaches this, the accumulation test for cash value buildup isn't going to be there on a death benefit as much as it is on accumulation.
Right.
So you're saying I get a higher deduction for that.
Well, you're still going to have substantial cash because our intent is after 5 years to stop making premiums. So
it's got to at least last.
Yeah, it's going to have to last. But we're now skewing it a little more in the favor of the life insurance benefit, and that could actually increase our tax deductions.
Well, I'm thinking about how we talked about related retirement plans. I'm trying to think about, since this is so not ERISA, this is not under ERISA.
Right.
And I'm looking at it's maybe a cousin of 79. And now if you think I'm cross-pollinating here, let me know.
Okay.
It might be 162 bonus, because they're kind of made a little relation. And depending upon how we set up that, there could or could not be deduction for 162. And we're going to do a whole week show on that because I think there's a lot of cool ways to do this.
Yeah, actually, that's not going to work because it's being... You can't put any controls on ownership of the policy. It has to be in the hands of the employee.
So it's not an incestuous metaphor.
No, that ain't going to happen.
Oh,
You can layer, you can add in addition to, but not in place of.
Well, I just like the options. I'm looking for options here.
Yeah,
this is
I know.
what you're giving me here.
You got to rein you in once in a while.
Well, okay. At the Business Insurance Zone, even Steve Savant. How elastic is the code? How elastic is the code? I just want to know. Stretch it to its limits. That's kind of what I'm into here at the Business
Yes,
Insurance
you are.
Zone. Well, listen, you're talking to the show that talks about insurance in your practice. You can write me at the show's email address, thebiz at brokersalliance.com, or our toll-free 1-800-290-7226, 147 extension. Ken and I will be right back after a word from our premier provider of everything we do, Brokers Alliance, top-of-the-line distributor of insurance products.
Whether you're a professional planner pursuing a strategic partner or an insurance distributor seeking a national alliance, your business just went into overdrive. Now enter the largest resource of insurance products and services with unparalleled access to a worldwide audience of consumers through the National Insurance Clearinghouse, the marketing arm of Brokers Alliance, who can take your company and launch it into the stratosphere of success. With countermeasures, the most comprehensive carrier intel in the industry, the MASH unit with field triage underwriting and the premium tolerance test, the life insurance financial evaluation, the most rigorous policy review, and Bravo high-definition broadcasting with online social media. Your search just ended.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Business Insurance Zone. I'm Steve Savant, your host, insurance columnist, financial color commentator, and interviewer extraordinaire. Before moving forward with any of the strategies we talk on the show, especially today on Section 79, I want you to talk to your CPA, your tax attorney, or your broker-dealer compliance department. You can call us toll free 1-800-290-7226 extension 147 for any of your quotes or questions on life insurance, annuities, DI, LTC, group pension plans, and of course Section 79. Hey, it's not what I know, it's who I know, and that's why I have Ken Davis, CLU, ChFC, CFP, and CPA on our show explaining the intricacies of Section 79, from tax to the facts on indexing. I love it. I mean, just index UL with Section 79. It's huge. And by the way, I've been doing the math here, Ken, I have to say. I'm looking at the benefits, right? I was looking at our comparison of using our benefits today to defer our traditional ERISA program. I did the math. And again, not that I'm trying to, a shameless plug here, but if Hewlett-Packard is watching this show and they want to sponsor it, please feel free. I'm using the HP12C, the calculator, the fiduciary. Ken and I have been doing it for years, right?
I have the same HP12C I had in 1980. It was given to me as a sales contest winner, and I still use it, and it still works. All I've had to do is replace batteries. Can you believe it?
You could probably sell that at the Vegas Pawn Stars. You've seen that on the History Channel? You could probably sell Ken Davis's original HP12C, the guy in the show. That'd probably go for $50. Maybe $100.
It was a dig somewhere at a site, and they picked it up, and there it was, still working. Kind of like the Energizer Bunny.
I'm looking at the math here. When I look at my HP12C and I do the calculation, if I can delay all my qualified plans as long as I can out the timeline till 70 and a half, give them another 3, 5, maybe 6 years to accumulate, I could actually use this Section 79 as my go-between money.
Well, it's basically 10 years, and at a 7% compound, Rule 72 says you double it again. It's interesting. I remember distinctly you and I having a discussion way back in the 90s when we worked together.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting older, and so are you. But anyway, what was interesting was I've always been a believer in mixing up different tax vehicles so that when you finally go to take money out, whatever the tax laws are at the time, you get to choose the best situation. Well, what was really intriguing is you said, hey, if we sandwich life insurance with qualified plans, we weren't even talking 79 plans back then for the deduction. But if you do that, then you can draw, say, 10 years worth of income from 59 to 69, for instance, or 60 to 70, to live on tax-free, allowing our traditional qualified plan to defer taxes another 10 years. Well, we all know the huge benefit of tax deferral and extending it out to 70 and a half is much better than starting to use it now. So having different choices and buckets of money to pull out works well, and then in fact, if you need the life insurance for business purposes, personal purposes, whatever, you get that benefit too. So it works really well.
Well, think about this. I mean, I make sure I'm not committing a little bit of heresy here, but I'm looking at when I want to defer my ERISA products to 70 and a half, I'm giving the market some chance to really work it over and maybe get better numbers. Okay, I'm cool with that. And I'm not paying taxes on the accumulation, so I like that. But if I took Section 79, that money's coming out, free? As long as I keep the policy in force for the life of the insured,
right? The typical rules on life insurance.
Exactly. Okay, so Ken, I don't want to get off on this too much, but I hate to pass up an obvious one. So if I'm taking out my life insurance out of my 79, Section 79, and it's not showing up on my 1040, that means my Social Security, if I took Social Security during that time before 70 and a half, I'd also not be paying anything on Social Security, which my ERISA products could do. Well, so I'm really actually getting some serious money my first, between ages 60 and 70 and a half.
Well, yeah, and that is the topic of actually a whole show. I do a 2-hour continuing education credit course for CPAs for their CPE.
That was a shameless
It was, wasn't it?
Oh my gosh, Ken. I'm going to have to talk to our boss.
Well, that's where you learned it. Yeah, I showed you this thing.
Our boss is probably going to charge you now.
Anyway, what we're talking about is that taxation of Social Security income is based on adjusted gross income. And in our tax show last year, we said gross income, take your front page deductions.
Right.
The very bottom of the front page is your adjusted gross income, AGI. The AGI is important because various deductions, credits, whatever, the limitations on whether deductible or you can write off your taxes are based on that number. Well, if you've got distributions from a qualified plan at 59.5 instead of 69.5, well, you don't have Social Security yet. Let's say you're 65 and you're still taking the distributions, and now you're taking your Social Security. As that money comes out, it goes through gross income and flows down to adjusted gross income. AGI determines how much of your Social Security income is taxable. 50% of it could be taxable, 85% could be taxable. And so if you're getting distributions out of a 79 plan that are essentially loans or with tax-free withdrawals from a life policy, that doesn't hit your gross income. It never hits the AGI number.
Well, I like that.
And so that
that's
backs
powerful.
off the deduction, the taxation of Social Security, and that can be very substantial.
I do want to take my life insurance money out via policy loans or withdrawals to basis, as long as I keep the policy in force and it's a non-modified endowment and all the caveats to cover my back door here. But I really want to do that because my Social Security comes free because of that. I mean, that's not going to cause an issue. If I could take out only the money I need for my life contracts, my Social Security is coming free, and so is that. I mean, that's all I had.
We essentially have a double taxation, in other words. You have your normal tax rate, and then you have the taxation of Social Security. It's insidious. It's something I really dislike about the law, and that is an important aspect there.
Well, just keep in mind, stalling your ERISA to 70.5 and taking out things like our Section 79 money in concert with our Social Security money, that could be really great. You're not paying tax on either one of those.
Well, remember this, Steve, when you and I were discussing this concept of layering.
Well, I say we're not paying tax. Who knows what the rules will be, but I'm just saying present day.
Well, the rules back when we first discussed this layering concept, there was no such thing as a Roth IRA or even a Roth 401k, right? And there is today. Well, there is no 70.5 distribution rule for Roth.
However,
so if we could use the life insurance and continue to defer it, especially if we're trying to leave money to the kids.
now, would my Roth income cause a problem with Social Security?
No.
Okay, that's the only life insurance, and that's the only really exception then. Unbelievable. Well, we're right up there with the Roth, and we would defer. I think I would do that too. I would try to defer that, and I guess I would take out my.
That becomes an estate planning issue, not
exactly.
instead of your own income.
Now, Ken, I'm so shocked here. I'm reading your brief here again. Here we are in another area of la la land to me. We're in LT. You have down here LTC accelerated death benefits in a 79 plan.
Well, it's a life insurance policy.
It is.
And life insurance policies have what? They have living benefits.
They can, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and one of our major carriers is really a strong player in that area. They've got that and
Well, actually,
some others.
You listed a huge list here. They have LTC accelerated death benefits. They have critical care.
Right.
They also have terminal illness, and that could be another adjunct perk when I'm in front of the employer to say, oh, by the way, this comes in the chassis,
Yeah, it's
the
part of it.
Index Universal Life chassis. So not only all the beautiful things of Section 79, but now I'm adding another whole set of policy provisions, perks, living benefits.
Right.
Wow.
And quite frankly, Steve, I think living benefits may be understated. I think when I deal with families and putting family insurance in place, a lot of times the primary breadwinner says, well, gosh, I love my family, but I'm not going to be around to get the benefit. So while they're doing it out of a sense of duty and love and care for their family, they're thinking, what's in it for me? So, suddenly living benefits, they go, oh, I got long-term care and critical illness. Gosh, that'd be kind of handy if I needed it. In fact, it's kind of like, I won't bring up another, it's like the duck, right? It's the duck and those additional benefits that come kind of thing. So.
Well, of course, if our clients are Mayan, don't worry about that because the calendar's going down December 2012. The world's going to end.
We're all get to collect, right? We're all going to die, so go to the insurance. Oh, they're not here either.
They're not here either. Oh, my gosh. Well, there goes my eschatology.
Oh, geez.
Okay.
Well, they can drop all the insurance premiums because they're not going to have to pay, right?
Well, yeah. I mean,
So, hey, let's go sell that to underwriting as free life insurance, right?
I can't wait to use that as a close. Oh, my gosh. Well, listen, you also talked about disability riders. Now that actually is that's a cost rider, though, right?
Sure it is.
On a lot of these. Now, I like it, though, because you could put it on there. Some people say, I remember I'm a death benefit guy, I'm a living benefit guy, not so much an income for Section 7.
Right.
I could deploy and add on this DI rider that could actually give me my disability, because as we get older, I notice a lot of people are more in tune with that issue than any other issue. And I have to say, we have a whole show on disability and not selling. I don't want to get into this now, but not selling paycheck protection I mean, we have missed it on the DI issue, I have to say. But you could put this on a rider here on Section 79.
Yeah, and one of the things that's an issue with traditional disability is the fact that the underwriting can be rather severe. When you're adding it on, it's not quite as a good a definition of disability, but it's easier to add and it's easier just to throw in. And clients like the additional benefits, especially as the baby boom generation gets into retirement years.
I just want to add now, when we start talking about this, some of these things cost money.
Sure.
And because they cost money, that's going to lower our internal rate of return on cash values, and just a heads up. And just remember, you have to weigh out, is it worth it? I pay for that. Here's what I suffer in cash value IRR, internal return, but look at what the benefit could be. And that's what I want to remember. I want to kind of look at that and check out, is that cost worth it in my plan?
Yeah, and I think with other advisors involved, and because it's really seen primarily as a retirement supplement, you're probably going to want to keep your internal rates of return up. But, use your judgment as an agent as to when to bring it up and when it's appropriate, and consider the options.
All this week we've been talking about Section 79 with CPA Ken Davis. If you want to come into this plan, again, just call us 1-800-290-7226 and we'll show you how to do this. You can view this show and all our shows in HD 1080p right on our homepage. Just click on the on-demand section at www.brokersalliance.com. And of course, you can check all this out, catch it all on our social networks, YouTube, Vimeo, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. I'm Steve Savant. That's the Buzz on the Biz for today. Get in the zone, the business insurance zone.
This has been a Bravo video event of the National Insurance Clearinghouse, the marketing arm of Brokers Alliance, one of the largest distributors of insurance products and services to a nationwide network of insurance professionals. Need insurance guidance? Call Brokers Alliance. The Business Insurance Zone, dedicated to financial professionals who use insurance in their practice.